Hello.
Hi, Justin.
Yes, it is.
It's Kat. How are you?
Oh, just fine. How you doing? Good to hear from you.
I'm good, thank you. How are things going with Anti Flag at the moment?
Oh, I can't complain at all. Things are going great. We've been doing a lot of touring, a lot of fun, a lot of hard work at times, but in general, I'm excited. It's been really cool playing songs on our new record, and people have been responding really well, so I'm pretty, I'm in a good place. We've just finished a long European run, and then we came back to our hometown and played a hometown show, which was really amazing. And so I've had about a week off now after a lot of grinding touring, so it's been nice to have a little break.
Well, we are actually going to talk about another grinding tour you've got coming up in Australia soon, but I wanted to, Anti Flag, you guys, your career's been quite steady and on a pretty good high for a long time now, hasn't it?
Well, yeah, it definitely has stayed pretty steady, in a lot of ways, which is pretty remarkable, for punk rock kids from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, who kind of, the drummer and myself started Anti Flag, and I think pretty much our goal was just to be able to play punk rock basements and fire halls around the country, and at this point we've pretty much toured the world and done some amazing touring and shows, and so yeah, it's been really kind of an amazing ride in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and well, I suppose you probably have things you do outside of Anti Flag.
Well, yes and no. I like to bike ride. I like to whitewater raft. Those things are pretty cool. But I have a falling down old house that I work on. I grew up doing construction work with my father, so I really like to do construction work, and it's something that I put a lot of time into, which is when I'm not on tour, probably too much time. But definitely, though, the band is central to my life. It has been for so many years. I think that to be successful at a band, and I guess at a lot of things, you really have to put so much effort and time into it. It almost has to consume your life. So what happens is that for the first 5 years or so, it really does consume your life, where you're doing all the work and you're doing everything. And then when you do have some level of success, that's what you do with your life. You're used to doing those things. So you kind of just continue to do them, and the band just sort of stays at the center of your life. So it's still a really big part of my everyday everything,
And obviously it's still your main income.
Yeah, it is. And it's harder and harder these days to make a living playing music. And so, a lot of people that were contemporaries of ours, I would say, over the years have kind of given up because it's just too hard to make a living at. And I think, we always kind of kept, even when we've been on some pretty big record labels and things, we always really kept kind of a DIY approach to things. We've always stayed really involved in things. So we've been able to find ways to make it work for ourselves, even though it's definitely much harder to make a living today playing music, as far as, there's not really record sales, and, you have to do a lot of touring to be able to pay the bills. So it is kind of a kick in the ass, and it's not for everybody. It's a lot of hard work.
And it doesn't surprise me that you have been a reasonably independent band the whole time, because you are a punk band and your music is fun, but then it also not only carries a strong message, but you have actually been involved in organisations and that you actually put yourself in there and do something. You don't just sing about it.
Well, for sure, and that has always been kind of a lifelong passion too. And, we're really lucky that the band has opened a lot of gateways to working with organizations like Greenpeace and Sea Shepherd and Amnesty International and the African Well Fund and, the local food bank in Pittsburgh. And so, of course, that's definitely a passion. It's really, the ideology behind the band really has been more of a driver at times for the band than the music, I would say. And what really is exciting about that is that even though, we sing about some pretty heavy topics and, it can seem pretty intense, but we are fortunate enough that we meet amazing people all the time. people who are out in the field, they've got their boots on the ground and they're doing the hard work. And, they're people that are attracted to the community of our band because of the things that we stand for. And, we've been able to partner with people to do some pretty amazing things. And, so even when you write these songs about some things that are really tragic and, things that are really just criminal from a standpoint of what's happening in society, there is also a lot of hope and optimism that is injected into our lives because we actually see people who care and who are working and actually making a difference in the world. So there is a bright side to kind of all this darkness that we write about sometimes.
Yeah. And you do have a new album out, American Spring, and you are going to be touring that in Australia with some very old friends of yours, and I don't mean very old, but people you've been touring with for a long time, and you're both at the top of the punk game, and that is, of course, Pennywise.
Yeah. I mean, that's really exciting for us. I mean, we have done a lot of touring with Pennywise, and they're like one of the top veteran punk rock bands, I think that they've been like 30 years, I think, which is like incredible, and they're still a great live band. It's really cool. I mean, one of the things that I think is interesting and exciting about punk rock is, I think the bands that have hung on and stayed in it, a large part of it is because they're still great live bands and there's still a lot of passion, and you see it that, you're surprised, like, wow, I thought these guys would be old and tired. But no, like, they get up there and rock your ass off. So it's really cool.
Well, I think a lot of people, I mean, of course, Pennywise would be one of the number one bands, but you're pretty much just underneath them. I think a lot of people think of Anti Flag as being one of the top punk bands as well. So actually having you both come out here together is a pretty exciting prospect.
I'll tell you what, it's a hell of a lineup. I'm not going to lie. Like, when the idea came up, I mean, it was just like, fuck yeah, like that's going to be a real show.
Yeah.
And, so we were pretty stoked on it.
Well, you would have played with probably all of the top punk bands, I'm assuming, but is there anyone that you haven't gotten to play with that you really would have liked to or would like to?
In the modern era, I don't think so. I think that we've played with everybody from, including like Rage Against the Machine, and, I think that the band that right now, kind of my favorite punk bands are Rancid, who we just played with recently, and Refused, who we played with recently. And of course I would include like Pennywise and Bad Religion and No Effects up in that area too. But yeah, I mean, we kind of have played with all of our heroes, which is really cool. And it's pretty special. Like, we just played with Social Distortion the other night, and Social Distortion was kind of Mike Ness of Social Distortion was the reason that I wanted to play guitar. I mean, he's like this amazing guitar player and really inspired me to learn guitar. And, we're just hanging out backstage the other night and talking about all kinds of things, and for me to think like, wow, this is the person who inspired me really to play guitar, and here I am with them. That's really cool. So it has been a hell of a ride. One band though that we never played with that I wish we had, and they were still, I don't know if they were doing shows actually by the time we formed, but I think they were. We never played with the Ramones. I think that would have been really cool. And we never played with Joe Strummer. It would have been great to play with Joe Strummer or Mick Jones, any of the guys from the Clash. That would have been a cool thing.
Yeah.
And you know what? We've never played with Bruce Springsteen. I'd love to play with Bruce Springsteen. That would be awesome.
Right. That would be cool. I was going to say, actually, because you are coming to Australia, you're going to be here on the 23rd, but you've only actually got one day off in the entire time you're here. Do you ever check out, like, the Australian punk scene when you're down here?
The best we can, and we've had some pretty awesome experiences. It really depends, I mean, sometimes it's possible to have more time off on a tour. With a tour like this, I think because of the schedules of the bands, it had to be fast, which is unfortunate, obviously. I mean, it's a real grind when you have very few days off and a lot of shows. With Australia, it's especially hard because you have to fly, and people think like flying would sound really great, but it's actually horrible because, if you get to bed around, 2 or 3 in the morning, you have to be up at 6 or 7 in the morning and at the airport by, 9 or 10 to get your flight to play the show that day. And you just do that every day. So you're only sleeping like 3 or 4 hours a night, and then you have to play a show every night. So it's pretty rough, but we'll survive it. We've done it a bunch of times. Right. It's very punk rock.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say that we have been in Australia, though, where on some tours where we've had a good few days off. And so I've got to see a good bit of the country. I got to go to a zoo and check out a koala bear and a kangaroo. So
that's a must-do.
We've got to kick it on Bonsai Beach. And, so we've got to do a lot of cool stuff in Australia over the years.
It actually surprises me because, like, a lot of the, overseas bands only come here every 2 or 3 years maybe. And it surprises me with coming all this way that they don't take the opportunity to have a holiday for a week afterwards or something.
Well, you know why they don't do that? Because it's really expensive.
All right.
And I think contrary to a lot of people's beliefs, a lot of bands just don't make a lot of money. I don't know a lot of people, at least in punk rock, that have made great money. They've made a living, and I just think it ends up being expensive. And the other part of it is, I think if you're going to take a vacation, it's cool to hang out with the guys in your band. Hopefully you get along. Some bands don't. But, we spend a lot of time together. And, if you're going to take a vacation, a lot of times we don't take our vacations together. We take them with our girlfriends or wives or whoever. And a lot of times it's too expensive to fly those people in with us. So I think a lot of times people, especially bands who tour a lot, they just want to go home. Like going home can be kind of a vacation.
Yeah.
But when you're in a really exotic place, in a really amazing place, being there without kind of that really special person in your life, it's not as gratifying. And I think that's why a lot of people don't stay on vacation and that kind of thing. I usually, if I have time, I usually fly into a place early, even if it's just a day or two, and I'll usually stay over an extra couple of days. But because we're touring so heavily this year with the new record, I'm just going to go in and go out with the band.
Yeah. And you're going to be in Melbourne on Monday and Tuesday night of this tour, and the Monday night has already sold out.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think they're going to be killer shows. And we, when the idea for the tour came up, we all, I talked to some of the guys in Pennywise and obviously, talked to my band, and all of us expect the shows to do really well and be really well attended. So it's a great bill. It really is. Even in the States. I mean, we did this bill in the States, and it was an important tour in the States, so, and like you're saying, a lot of times our bands don't get down to Australia very often, so it just kind of makes it even more special.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just envisioning, is there any chance that, like, especially in Melbourne, considering that you're going to have 2 shows in Melbourne, and I'm guessing both of them will be sold out, are we going to see like a big finale with Pennywise and Anti Flag on stage together?
That usually happens, yeah. Something along those lines. So, yeah, that happens a lot. So
awesome.
It'll depend on the circumstances, but I hope that happens because that means it'll be a good night.
Yeah, well, I think to a full house it's probably bound to happen. And people, I guess, you're going to be playing music from the new album, which is American Spring, but you're going to be playing some of the classic Anti-Flag songs as well?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we enjoy playing all, songs from all the records. And, there are certain songs that, they're the hits, I guess you would call them. I like to tongue-in-cheek call them that. But, yeah, I mean, there are songs that people come and they really want to hear. And so, we try to play as many of those kind of songs as we possibly can. And, and also pick some songs that we all really enjoy performing. So there'll be songs from our whole catalog, that's for sure.
Awesome. And I'm looking at your website's americanspring.net, or has this just been made up for this album?
Well, it's made up for the album, but if you go to antiflag.com, that's actually our site. But it might redirect you to the site updated for the record.
Yeah, and if people actually go to facebook.com/anti-flag official, there is a link, of course, to your website on there.
Yep.
And the tickets for the Pennywise and Anti-Flag Australian tour are available from all over the place by the looks of it, mostly the venues. But look up the Pennywise 20th Anniversary Australian Tour with Anti-Flag and you'll find out the details. You're coming down here through Destroy All Lines and it's going to be really exciting. Is there something you'd like to say to your fans?
I'll just say, we always have a great time in Australia, and we try to put on a show where everybody has an opportunity to have a good time, and a place where people can respect each other and still have a blast, and that's the goal. So hopefully, we're going to have a very unifying and inspiring night for all involved. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I just thought of a couple more questions, but I've ran out of time. Thank you very much. It's been really great talking to you. And yeah, I hope you have a great time while you're down here, and I hope you get plenty of rest between tours.
Well, thanks. I really appreciate it. That's awesome.
Thank you. Good night.
All right. Take care. Good night.